And it's time now for our Sunday morning Q&A. And joining us this morning is Herb Smith. He wears a lot of hats, political analyst, McDaniel College professor, and now you're an author of a new book.
Yes, I am, along with John Willis, professor at University of Baltimore. We've written Maryland Politics and Government, Democratic Dominance.
Okay, we're going to talk about your new book in just a moment, but first let's talk about the fact that Maryland has a primary coming up on Tuesday.
And a primary is important because, voters never had a chance to actually nominate Republican and Democratic nominees until the beginning of the 20th century. The progressive movement, broke the stranglehold that party bosses had over simple access to public office. So this is an opportunity for voters to make their voices heard in who gets to represent them.
Well, and it must mean something to some of the Republican presidential candidates because Maryland's been getting some love from the likes of Mitt Romney and Ron Paul.
Indeed, we're not inconsequential. I mean, the primary, which 4 years ago was in May, has been moved up. It looks right now, the polls have shown that it seems like this is going to be part of the inevitability of Mitt Romney and his kind of final victory lap. But he is the kind of Republican who traditionally runs very well in this state. John McCain carried the Maryland Republican primary very easily back in 2008. And former Governor Romney, seems of that particular stamp.
Well, and the race also has some implications for Democrats and Republicans alike with the 6th district being up that was held by Roscoe Bartlett for 20 years.
That's the hottest race, I think, statewide. Congressman Bartlett is running for his 11th term, and the district has been profoundly changed. It once ran from Garrett County all the way to the banks of the Susquehanna River. Now it's most of western Maryland and a healthy chunk of Montgomery County, which is, terra incognito for the congressman.
Well, and voter turnout is supposed to be abysmal, is that right?
Hope not.
Right.
Again, this is a very precious opportunity to exercise the franchise. People have been campaigning very vigorously in the 6th District, a great deal of direct mail, and candidates going door to door, so we'll have to see.
See what happens on Tuesday. Okay, well, let's talk about your book, Maryland Politics and Government, Democratic Dominance.
Which is an observation, not a prediction. Democrats have done very, very well in Maryland, really since the end of the Civil War, but there are a number of reasons for that. Republicans tend to run very well now on the Eastern Shore and Western Maryland, but the central core, the I-95 corridor of the state, is dominated by Democrats, and that's where most people live and most voters reside.
And why do you think that is?
Well, basically, the Democratic Party has seemed to have captured kind of the pragmatic, common sense middle of the state, particularly in terms of dealing with the problems of high density in this land of pleasant living. We have a tremendous resource, a national treasure in the Chesapeake Bay, with just an enormous number of people living around it. And working to upgrade the Chesapeake Bay to improve water quality is something Democratic governors and in truth, former Governor Ehrlich certainly have worked hard to improve. Also, the Democratic governors and the Democratic majorities in the General Assembly have worked in terms of economic development, in promoting biomedical research. We have state subsidies for stem cell research, and that kind of thing.
Well, your book does a good job of going the history of Maryland politics, and you sort of break everything down for the reader to understand, but you also take a look at the future of Maryland. And what are some of your observations with that as we go ahead and come to a close?
Well, Maryland faces tremendous challenges in the 21st century. The estimates is the population will grow from close to 5.8 million by 30% in the year 2030. So dealing with growth, dealing with development. And here you have Governor Hughes' Critical Areas Act, Governor Glendenning's smart growth policies. All of these have a tremendous potential for harnessing that growth and managing it in a productive way.
All right, well, where can we find your book real quickly?
You can find it at the University of Nebraska Press website or Amazon.com.
All right, sounds good. Mr. Smith, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. And again, the name of the book, Maryland Politics and Government, Democratic Dominance, Politics and Governments of the American States by John Willis and Herb Smith. And please don't go away. We'll be